more devastating. So we have to check that by transitioning to 100% renewable energy, by putting a high price on carbon, to incentivize renewables and to tax fossil fuels. We can't afford to compromise on this anymore. Our future depends on it. So I'll wrap up there so I don't go over.
Jay?
Yeah, so all that is fine, and we appreciate the point that the climate change is being contributed to by fossil fuel industry, by fossil fuel consumption. But we have to admit that the present day prosperity has been brought out by the fossil fuels. We've had 200 years of continuous improving conditions, both in terms of food availability and so many other things, just availability of, prolonging of life. All that has been made possible with fossil fuels. So we want to make sure that while the climate change is being addressed, we want to make sure that the fossil fuel industry is properly made, properly awarded and kept and maintained so that people don't lose jobs, and the fossil fuel industry is rewarded for all its work that it has done. So we want to say that we oppose a high carbon price, and because essentially any price will undermine the sale of increase in price will undermine sale of fossil fuels, and thereby undermining of the industry itself. And we oppose any taxes on fossil fuels. We do want to say that there's some taxes may be advisable, and some carbon price may be acceptable, but nothing very serious. We are agreeable to promoting new technologies where we can reduce the carbon contribution to the atmosphere, and we can sequester the carbon or use carbon more efficiently. And so we are fully on board with energy efficiencies and so on. And we absolutely agree that we should not be deforesting. We should be doing everything to reduce the any land use carbon emissions from the land use. We will support all those initiatives,
okay,
which actually do not affect fossil fuel generation.
Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.
Carl?
Am I next? I lost the list. So.
Yeah, I'll call you out, Carl. Yeah, you're next.
Okay. Well, I'm representing the clean energy sector, and we recognize the science means that carbon dioxide emissions and greenhouse gas emissions in general have to cease as rapidly as possible. So we advocate a high carbon tax, but phased in gradually. We want subsidies for the transformation of buildings and transportation. The retrofitting of buildings will be very expensive. So we'll need incentives to make that happen. And another big thing we favor is research and development regarding possible new clean tech, and research as to atmospheric CO2 removal.
Great, thank you. Akshay?
So yeah, I represent the industry and commerce sector, and yes, while we support the assertion that global warming below 2 degrees is desirable if we were to keep society or functioning as it is, we also recognize that a majority of the prosperity, like Jay said, has been brought about by the use of fossil fuels in expanding the industrial sector and commercial sector to a point where the basic necessities of living are cheap and affordable for a vast majority of people on this planet. So our priorities would be to obviously incorporate renewable energy and electrification uh, of the various sectors that involve the industrial sector, will include like transportation, buildings, and manufacturing. But at the same time, we'd like to keep prices low because the market is used to a certain price point, and using new technologies which replace the conventional ones which are already available at a very low price is going to be detrimental to the economic growth and might bring about economic situations that aren't desirable, which would also sort of break down our goal of reaching 100% renewable energy. So we need to go for a policy that goes hand in hand with how we live as a society today, and what our goals are. So our priorities would be to encourage policy proposals which are going to not just help reduce carbon emissions, but also attack other greenhouse gases such as methane, uh, you know, nitrous dioxide, and other potent greenhouse gas emissions which are emitted by other sectors such as agriculture, forestry, etc. So,
Five
like,
seconds.
oh, okay. Oh, we just have 5 seconds. So, yeah,
Two,
basically,
2 minutes, but that's left.
okay. Okay. Yeah, I can, jump back in later, I guess. But
That's your last. Did you your last?
Right. So I am the agriculture and forestry guy. So since with population soaring and we still haven't caught up with feeding everyone, and we're not about to, I think that anything that affects food production, productivity, should be considered very cautiously. I think agriculture should be sanctuarized from excessive carbon abatement measures, such as, for instance, carbon tax, because as equipment runs on petrol, carbon tax means more expensive food, fewer pesticides and, fewer pesticides and fertilizers also means more expensive food and means even fewer people get to balanced and sufficient nourishment. That said, there are win-win situations which we love, such as using farmland for wind turbines. That has proven to work wonderfully, so we are pro those kinds of solutions. As far as forests goes, deforestation and afforestation can both be beneficial. If deforestation makes room for productive agricultural land, that's great. Afforestation can also provide renewable fuel, which is much used in Europe, for instance, heat, wood for heat. And
15 seconds.
well, that's it then.
All right, thank you. Okay. Sorry, I just pressed space and then that changes the slides. So the simulation is round-based. Each team has 3 minutes to discuss and prepare, and then 1 minute to give a speech. And I'll be timing that just like I did, and I'll just give a 15-second. Actually, no, I'll only tell you when the minute's up. And so basically, I've got breakout rooms, and I'll just send you to those rooms, and it will automatically time out. After, I think I set them automatically close after 4 minutes. And then there'll be a 60-second warning, so you can leave any time within then. And so, yeah, during the meeting, so teams discuss their climate solution strategies, or would. Then during the presentations, they propose one action to be implemented, or you can, push it the other way. So like, let's say conventional energy can like kind of remove progress that's already been done, or push it further away. Team sections are, I'll put the En-ROAD simulator, and we'll play until time is up. We'll get close to 7. So we'll just see where we go from there. And, if there's a majority, there's a majority consensus on the policy to enact it. So because there's 5 groups, if 3 groups say like veto something after it's already been done, then they can pull it back. But yeah, I don't.
Sebastian, we don't need separate rooms, right? Because we have each only one person per.
I just do that because it'll create the timing. So
Okay.
like, let's just try it. If it's weird, then we can just all stay, and then I'll just give a warning when it happens. Yeah. Okay, let's. So I'm gonna leave it on this for now, and then when we get into after the presentation, after everybody's kind of spoken, then we'll pull open the actual En-ROADS tool. So let's just do this. So should be, yep. Okay. Can you see the En-ROADS thing?
Yes.
Cool. I need to change this. Great. I think I need to make that a little shorter. How are they not back yet? Darn. Okay. I could have kicked them out early, but not not now. So hopefully you planned out a few moves that you wanted to make. So maybe
Yes.
cut down the cycles on this. But I think just important just to think about it for a second, and then we'll go in the same order. All right, I'm cutting this down to 2 minutes, because then you have 60 seconds after that, so that's better. All right. So let's start with Catherine, Climate Hawks. What's your big move?
All right, we want to propose a high price on carbon. Am I supposed to give our reasoning why as well?
You can. I mean, you can just say that, but
Okay. I have stuff. I just don't know. I don't want to take up too much time if that's not what we're supposed to do.
no, you have a minute. You should explain your reasoning.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. I just wanted to check. So we need to get to 100% renewable energy as quickly as possible, and carbon pricing, a high price on carbon, is a way to effectively reflect the environmental and social costs of current emissions. And it's important because we believe that carbon pricing is a way that we can do this that will be hopefully more politically palatable. It appeals to folks who want to combat climate change, but it also utilizes the free market in order to get that done. And you can think of it as not an additional tax, but just putting better information into the free marketplace. Right now, the market's been distorted without this price on carbon, so we're just fixing the system to better reflect the costs that are being accrued by these emissions. And by putting a higher price on carbon, we can drastically decrease the amount of emissions, and we can drastically lower the rise in global temperatures, and we can incentivize the use of renewables long-term by making it more cost efficient. Yeah.
Thank you. Jay, yours?
Yeah, I have several things.
Well, you can only
One
choose,
is, what, pardon me?
you can only choose one at this round.
Oh, you only one at a time.
One
I
at
see.
a time, exactly, yeah.
Oh, okay, very good.
One
So
lever.
we are fully for electrification of the transport.
Okay.
The electrification basically reduces pollution on the streets, while we hope that all that fossil fuel consumption for the electrification itself will continue.
Can you put a number on that? Like, because you can put the percent.
We could put an 80%.
8%?
80%, 80.
I don't know. 80% a year is, you can.
Oh, 80% a year. Sorry, 8% a year.
It's a
Sorry.
scaling thing. So
Yeah. Okay.
in between -3 and 5%.
Oh, about 6% a year. Yeah.
There you go. Well, 5 is max.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you. Carl?
Do you want to put a carbon price that Catherine said?
Yeah. There we go. Carl? You're muted. You're muted. You can just unmute, yeah.
Yes, a little slow, old man.
No worries.
Yeah, I joined the carbon price, and I would set it as high as possible and phase it in over a long time.
Yeah, I mean, the more detail you can actually, I mean, it phases in right away essentially, and then to achieve initial carbon price. So this is a $236 a ton, which is interesting. Yeah, pretty high.
Yeah,
but if there's 2 supports for it, I'll accept it. We'll move it up twice.
okay. Yeah, we can look at the numbers.
Yeah, it's about the phase. Yeah, I mean, you can, if you want to dig into this, you can create exactly what you like when you want to achieve final carbon price, and yeah. So we'll keep it at that. Thank you. Akshay, industry and comments.
I'd like to start off by uh, advocating for energy efficiency in buildings, because they represent heating costs. Represent a huge chunk of your energy usage. So obviously, making them more efficient is it's not some breakthrough technology that's involved. It's merely a question of better design. So uh, that's what I would advocate for. I would highly incentivize it, like.
Okay, so basically 5% a year is max, and
Okay.
1.2%. That's what it is right now. And then what would you like to do? So this one down here, you can do retrofitting versus just the energy efficiency.
Okay, so I'd go for maybe like a 4% a year.
Okay.
You know, incentive. 4, yeah, and I guess the rate of the retrofitting can be, pushed up to 10%, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm supposed to think in terms of benefiting my particular group, right? That's how it goes. I mean.
Right. You would do something that you could win from, kind of like something that's within your kind of mission operandus. Like obviously, if you focus on buildings energy efficiency, right, your commerce. So what you would do is you would upgrade all facilities, and you could actually make a lot of money off this whole retrofitting thing. It would be a very pricey to but also very good, because it saves money in the long haul. It saves emissions. I mean, it's something that big packages, government packages would look at allocating money towards. There are examples of that. So I think it's well within your line. I'm just gonna put out the start. Get started now.
Yeah.
All right, JG, you are next. Land and forestry. You're muted.
Okay. I don't like this carbon price thing one bit. Because it's going to hurt the weakest, the most vulnerable people who need their petrol, scooter, tractor, car in poor countries, especially where poor countries where agriculture is the number one source of income or survival. So I'm debating between advocating for reducing that or going all the way with technological carbon.
Can I say one thing though? I have to interject here, because part of the carbon price, as it says here, is the policy must be designed to minimize the impacts on the poorest. Currently, what the plan would be is that the money would actually be reinvested and given as a dividend back to everybody, but the poorest would actually, like, the way it has to be designed is to give them back the most. So would that change your mind at all?
Yeah, slightly. So instead, I'll go for capturing as much CO2 technologically as possible. Because it's going to be inevitable pragmatically. Whatever we do, we're going to need to do that a lot, much more than we think. So I would push that.
So what you can give a percentage, really, from 0 to whatever.
Let's go 75.
75. So yeah, and this would be like a phase in, and then reach at about 60. So this would be, upwards of 15 gigatons a year, which, as you saw, is pretty dramatic, considering our current emissions is around 40. So that would be pretty nice. So, yeah, I mean.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course. Interject.
Having carbon price at the maximum.
Yeah.
Why should the technological carbon removal benefit?
So
because it basically says
we go undo 2.6 and now 2.2. Well, we're capturing extra carbon.
It's direct air capture.
Yeah, direct air capture.
But even though we're not using fossil fuel because the high carbon price?
I'd remove carbon dioxide removal, direct air capture.
I understand.
Oh, okay.
What I was asking is, as JG was saying, your fossil fuel consumption is been reduced because the high carbon price.
Right.
So all you're doing is that you're not.
You're not pulling as much, right? You wouldn't be. So look, if you.
I don't quite see it, but okay.
I mean, the idea, right? Without a carbon price, you know, the impact. I mean, let's look at the energy mix here. Like without a carbon price, kind of everything goes. With the carbon price, only renewables go, but there still is, you know, quite a bit of energy. It's not negligible, the amount of energy of coal, oil, and gas. Like that doesn't disappear.
Well, even if it did, you know, you've got 400 parts per million in the atmosphere.
Yeah, it actually reduces the existing amount of carbon in the atmosphere.
Absolutely not.
But I was talking economically.
Absolutely not. The amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is going to stay around 400 parts for a very long time unless we do have air capture and removal.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we can look at that. CO2 emissions.
Yeah.
No. CO2 concentration here. So yeah, this would, you know, you can see it business as usual goes way up.
Yeah, I guess it changes a little bit. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's see though. I mean, it's small. It's much smaller.
Yeah, it's not much. Correct. It's not high. Okay.
Cool. So, do you guys have already a second option? We could just go through it again.
I need to object to the carbon price.
Okay. Well, so this is a negotiation phase of it, as I mentioned. So, if you object, you need to get two other parties. You know, you have to say, does anybody want to push back on the carbon price? And if, let's say, Akshay, JG say yes, then they have majority rule, and then you can push it back to whatever you want. So does anybody want to second or third Jay's? And what do you want to set it back to 0? Do you want?
I don't mind setting it to $10.
That's your offer, $10.
That's my offer.
Anybody else agree, or is it?
Yeah,
I second the reduction, but perhaps to something a little higher, 20.
20?
Yeah, it's, you know, most current policies at $15 a ton.
You want to change the phase? Let's be more realistic.
It is $30 a ton.
Let's just say at least 2024 for phasing, because that we're not going to get it this year. Okay, so we've got, let's say 20. Anybody else want to push it back?
No, I'd like to talk about how long it takes to achieve the initial carbon price. So I'm guessing we want the economic impact of it to be minimized. So if we can increase the years it takes to achieve the carbon price to, I don't know, 20 years?
Yeah. So basically there's two things here. You can choose, well, when it starts to phase in. So basically when is the legislation passed? And then how many years to achieve that carbon price, right? So right now we're saying it's 10 years to get to 240, which is steep for sure, I would say. So yeah, you can either adjust the carbon price itself or the year, and you can push back the timeline. So it looks like we have 3 that are saying want to change it. So they have to kind of come to an agreement about what amounts they want to change it to.
Okay. I would want to say that, okay, we are accepting $30 per ton over 20 years.
So, okay, so phase, let's say 2024 and then 20 years, right? Something like that.
I'd go with that.
Okay. I mean, seems like we've got big business saying what they want.
Yeah, are we allowed to chime in, the supporters of the carbon price, or have we been silenced by the power of money?
Basically, it's majority. I mean, it's 3-2, so you can't overrule it. You basically had the push. Were really aggressive, and then they came back and used that against you to knock you back. So,
Well, weren't given any input on how high to raise it or anything else.
well, you said very high, so I set it to the highest.
Yeah,
Was
that's for
pure optimism.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain people who would put it at 250 and take 25 years to get there.
Yeah. No, I mean, if you want to, like, if you go to the next round, you can keep fighting this thing, and you can say, like, hey, I want to reset the carbon price thing again, now back to this. And so that's entirely up to you guys.
And then you can keep the carbon price rising after that, right? There's an option for that?
Yeah, achieving final carbon price. So yeah, like even this is.
But you should put theirs in, and show you what it doesn't accomplish.
I thought it gives 3-degree rise.
So Carl, you're saying to put in
what? No, in their counter proposal.
It's already.
Yeah.
So, and we do undo there. So 2.3 back up to 3 now. That was the difference.
Yeah, and is that with the other measures that we'd already put in?
All other measures we did included, yeah.
Okay.
All right, cool. So let's do one more round, and I'll send you guys off. It's going to be 2 minutes, I believe, and then they're just going to ask to leave the breakout room. So we'll go back and try again. Oh, what? Did Marie just join?
Oh, Marie's been here for a little while.
Hi, Marie.
Hi.
Welcome. You're going to be a climate hawk, okay?
To be a climate hawk? Okay, let me change my background.
Do you have well, I mean, you can be clean energy. You already have the background, so.
Well, I've got the climate hawk one also.
Okay. Do you have the briefing sheet or the one pager?
I have what was linked in the
Yeah. Okay. It should be like, I mean, if you see my screen, it should be the same as that, kind of with the slot.
Okay, well, let me try to catch up here.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. And JG. Okay, Marie, did you get kind of a rundown of the? So you're basically making a decision on one of the levers.
Right, correct. We talked about that and we.
Okay, good. Just want to make sure.
Thank you.
So everybody's here, so we can go back into the rounds. Let's do the reverse. Let's go, JG, you're first to make the moves, and then we'll go back up the rows. So JG, your choice. Yeah. Wait, I don't know. Oh. I see. Okay. So let's just set that highly subsidized. Okay, thank you. Akshay?
I go with increasing subsidies on renewables, but
Sorry, we can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Barely.
Barely.
Oh, okay.
You were coming in fine earlier. I don't know.
Yeah. Could be the.
Can you try again? Oh, okay, that works. It's highly subsidized. Okay. All right, Carl, clean tech.
I think the other thing we need to look at is reducing methane.
Totally. So let's do it. Let's go a little deeper. Okay, so we're at status quo.
Let's try 50%.
And this is, so you can see here is with the low carbon tax we have already, what it's reduced from. So let's go 50. Or I think I have to go to negative 50. Yeah, there. Wow. Yeah, it has a huge impact. It's one of the hidden levers. That's one of the strongest, I think. And then, yeah, you can go really detailed if, for the energy wants. All right, JG? JJ?
I'm a little concerned about the increased renewable and nuclear.
Okay.
And although your dials don't show the coal, oil, and natural gas don't go down, it doesn't show that they go down. Is that is that an assumption, or is
so
it
status quo? Yeah, it's like there's no de-incentives on them. There's no like right. It would be.
This is just added renewables, is it?
Yeah, so they're subsidizing renewables. Anything down would be taxing coal, oil, natural gas, and the sort.
So that means their production remains the same.
Yeah, as much as they can, essentially. They'll pump up, yeah.
But it produces extra energy, so there must be some new markets.
Yeah.
We are willing to go to reduce the coal to 10%.
10% reduction. Okay.
No, I mean it is per year, right?
Reduction in coal utilization, 10%, right? Something like that.
Yeah, 10% per year, or is it?
No, that's in total. You can do the years over which it happens, right? But
okay, then 50% reduction over 5 years.
15?
50% reduction in 5 years.
In 5 years. Okay, so start here. Wouldn't that be something like that? Yeah, I think so. Whoops. All right.
But that assumes that all these things assume there is an increased corresponding increase in oil and
Yeah, like it will rebalance a little bit. It will add to them if, but again, some things, coal doesn't, you can't like just take coal away and put it to gas sometimes, right? Directly to like add new points. Anyways. Okay, Climate Hawks, make the last.
All right, so I'm going to come back to the carbon price, and I recognize we maybe went a bit too high, but I'm willing to negotiate.
No, we're not. No, we're not.
This is the crux of the whole thing.
I would like to come back and propose $75 a ton, and I'm willing to stick with your over 20 years. I think that's reasonable, but 30 just doesn't track with what economists and scientists say is the actual cost, the social and environmental cost of carbon. So $75 better reflects the impact that it has on our society. So I hope you will accept this compromise of a more fair offering for the carbon price. Marie, do you have anything you want to add? Aside from the fact that we will not compromise, but we're telling them they are. We are.
That's right. That's right.
And then,
We're compromising quite a bit, guys.
I,
Believe me.
I would compromise on this price provided the fossil fuel subsidies increase. Yeah, some of this money should come back to the fossil fuel industry.
So let's do this.
I don't think that makes sense. I think that
I mean, they're still paying for it, right? I know it doesn't make any sense, but
No, if the consumption reduces, we need to make up for it somewhere. The actual costs are going to go up for us.
what if you went into adjacent markets, like you took your oil pipelines and made hydrogen, or like geothermal or something?
Yeah, I mean, there should be some incentive to move to other investments, right? So we should have extra money to invest in new technologies.
No, that's a good point, because like that would come in with stimulus. Like you need a big stimulus to do something like that.
Yeah.
To do major retrofitting.
Hey, yeah, Sebastian, I gotta go.
Yep. No, of course. I think there's more. There's like a debrief and all, but again, this is a highly shortened version, and yeah, just to kind of play around and see.
It's fun.
Yeah, I think it's fun. Honestly, it's cool because you get to have conversations, and you get to kind of play a little game.
And unless you see how things intersect, you know, basically what effects certain changes have, and the fact that people do have to see other people's views.
Yeah. Too. It's still admirable though. I mean, if like that's the thing. There's no silver bullet, and you can't do everything you want, and so you have to choose and make some tough decisions, and you're just not going to get everything. That's for sure. Like
JG, actually, in real rooms, currently it comes to only 3 degrees. Many of the exercises have agreed only to 3 degrees.
The modeling
based on this model, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we've done better.
Yeah, I mean the methane, the carbon price, and renewables and electrification. That's a huge thing. If you can electrify everything, you get an immediate major reduction in emissions.
But if you just do the electrification, it'll actually not change.
Right.
Or may not change much.
The grid. You have to clean up the grid with it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
That's the big thing.
Yeah. One thing is, though, I think if there is a feedback on this, there should be incentive for fossil fuels to reduce their production. There are no incentives. There are only penalties.
What do you mean by that? Like trade-off?
Tell me why is it? It's only government regulation that will bring down fossil fuel consumption or demand.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like demand, right? You heavily subsidize and you make it impossible.
So that means exactly. That means if you increase renewables and increase nuclear and increase new technologies, the coal, oil, and natural gas should go down on their own, just because they are not competitive. Something of that kind.
But this is global, and we have to assume, like, I mean, India and countries, they're just going to use so much, like, they've already built the plants just now, and those plants have 30, 40-year lifetimes, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's where the problem comes from. Like, they're,
Right. Yeah.
You can't
So
do it.
the point is that this seems not to be linked, is what I'm saying. These knobs are not linked.
Everything is linked.
Is
Like,
it linked?
yeah, everything is linked. That's the whole, it does 16,000, like, again,
Can you change it? Can you change the renewables? Let's see. I want to see how it changes the coal. In those buttons remain.
No, I have to leave this back to status quo, right? Because if I,
okay,
like,
status quo now, it's increased renewables.
I mean, I'd say that's pretty substantial, like the difference in them.
No, I mean the energy supply.
Oh, how it affects coal, oil, and natural gas?
Yes.
Right?
But see, they're like, this is still like, we're looking at, like, 2040 is still very, very far, and they would all be growing, you know, regardless. Look, and renewables only go here only unless
If you increase renewables, what this is showing you is that the other ones.
Like, how does it impact the other sector?
It only impacts it way down the line. And you have to choose the years. Like, it's always a very basic, like, hey, we're going to do this in 2020 and do it over like 80 years.
So it is very clear that the renewables and when nuclear increase, coal and oil and natural gas will go down.
But if I get rid of the carbon price, then everything normalizes, see?
No, I don't mean that. Supposing you keep a certain carbon price and then increase renewables, the fossil fuel industry suffers. Why should they go along with it?
Well, that's the thing. They have, like, they're already moving into the field of renewables, right? Like
So that is the incentive I'm talking about. Give the incentive to move to renewables.
Right. You have to present as an option. I mean, they are building plants. Like, I heard Shell was building one. There's like floating solar panels plus offshore wind plus, you know, hydrogen production.
So in part of this, I also think that this is being done in agriculture, people to move, commercial agriculture to organic. Governments are paying them to stop because it's much cheaper.
Well, yeah, but the thing about it is we're subsidizing fossil fuels right now for fossil fuels. I mean, why don't we stop subsidizing them for fossil fuels and subsidize them for renewables instead?
Exactly.
I mean, you shouldn't give them extra. I mean, they're already receiving plenty of money.
Yeah.
So my saying is that we redirect how that money is.
Exactly. That's all I'm saying.
The contingency of that money. Yes.
Make it conditional that subsidy will go towards creating renewables.
Yeah. And the thing about it is, okay, a lot of the movement towards, regenerative agriculture, it also benefits the farmers. Yes, we are paying for some of that, but there's also, there's going to be improved yields and there's benefits to the farmers also to move to regenerative agriculture. So you don't have to pay everybody for everything, you know.
No, the current, for example, when the tobacco farmers lost their business, they were all brought into they were given big loans, they were given large incentives to move to other products.
You're talking
about, but the government wasn't paying the tobacco industries to change. Were they?
Yes.
Yeah.
They did.
Geez.
Jay, I think that's a good point. It's like you have to talk about the transition, right? Like you have to figure out how we're like. I mean, the biggest thing I think about is right when you build a solar farm, it takes way less jobs than, let's say, a oil or natural gas plant, right? They don't need to keep working there, and
exactly.
And for like coal, you're gonna need to find jobs for these or opportunities.
Exactly.
Otherwise, they're gonna do kicking and screaming the whole way.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole process.
The coal plant uses 600 people,
whereas
a solar farm can use 2.
2 that just clean the solar panels. That's it. It's crazy. I mean, it's good. It's definitely it's an energy transition, right? But
even in transitioning the jobs, there's certain difficulties. I mean, I mean, certainly in coal mining, you know, you have many different types of jobs. Not everybody's got to pick and shovel, digging coal. I mean, you have, you know, people that run machinery and
A lot
they're,
of white collar jobs there. Yeah.
yeah. And also even in the blue collar ones, I mean, they have basically engineers that run the automated machinery that's going on in that, and that can transition easier than some other jobs, you know, so there are certain challenges.
I gotta go. Thank you
right.
so much.
Yeah, I think this was really, really good. If anybody has
This is
anything
very interesting.
on.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Yeah, no problem. All right. Yeah, you can drop off or whatever. The convention's going on right now. That's what Jay was saying. So
Yeah. I'm recording everything so I can.
you get to
Okay,
it.
bye.
You're gonna binge it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I actually am curious about the RNC one because, I mean, you know, they're bringing the racist couple with the guns, you know, to speak at the RNC.
The speakers are just hilarious. It's like,
Yeah.
this one racist kid. Oh, these one racist couple.
Yeah. Well, it's like the racist kid with the MAGA hat. You know, it's like, okay, we know who that is.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I do want to know if Space Alien DNA doc is going to speak. You know, I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd get my avocado
all
toast
me, but
and hunker down on the couch, you know.
Yeah. God. What a spectacle. I know it's so bad. The what is it? Not the disconnect, but the standards between the two are just so crazy, you know? Like
Oh, yeah.
with on one side versus the other side's like, we need a perfect person with no bad history.
Exactly.
Like
Exactly. We need like people with reputations that are beyond reproach, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to take a look at what the RNC brings up. Racist couple, you know, with the guns.
All right. Well, yeah, I think it went well though, right? It was pretty easy. Yeah. I think it'd be cool, you know, with a few people in each group, and then you could really have a debate about things, and then.
Oh my God, you could spend hours on this thing. You know, I mean, literally, you can just spend hours delving into.
It's way more complicated. Yeah, like we made it like we shortened everything, but like you could like, okay, well, you want to do this. Well, what's your policy plan? Exactly how to do it, you know? And,
Yeah.
But still, and then there's also the C roads where you can take the countries, and you can kind of be like, I'm the United States, I'm China, I'm India.
Oh, that would be cool. That would be very cool. We should do a session on that.
Yeah. I think that's fun just because you can really see the world inequality between the countries. And
Yeah.
How they interplay. I mean, right? It's like U.S. is like, well, we don't have to make that big of a changes because China's doing all that, and they're like, well, you've been polluting forever, so like,
yeah.
That you get that kind of thing, and then how much money do you want to put towards the climate fund, and you get to decide that, and yeah. All right, cool. Well,
thank you for doing all this.